Hello, everyone. Welcome back to number 16, podcast, episode 16 of the No One Asked podcast. I am Ethan.
And I'm Brock. Welcome back. Welcome back for another week. Joining us on such an exciting week of sports. The world of sports has been on fire.
It's just to that point where the NBA's not deep enough to care yet. There's trade rumors, but there's nothing even substantial. The NFL's where everyone knows what has to happen now, so there's no point starting rumors. It's such a slow week.
Yeah. Incredibly slow. Like you said, NFL's so deep, it's kind of like your season's already over. You've lost hope.
Yep.
It's almost like, we might get into it later on, we might not, but like Jets have started up rumors again of trading away LeVeon and Jamal, as you were saying before we started recording, which is just like, what is that entire organization doing?
Yep.
Or it's like you're playoff bound and it's like, who are you going to get knocked out by? Like, how do you measure up with your other opponents and where is that going to lead you? And how deep can you get?
Yeah.
And like you said, NBA's nice and early-ish. Teams are kind of set in stone-ish. People don't want too many changes from this point, and well,
that's the thing. Like,
it's dull.
There's no need to change any NBA teams because everyone's a contender this year. Like, no one needs to go
agreed.
Like, we need an extra piece to contend with the Warriors because they're dookie now. But
listen to the Knicks at home last night. Wow.
Top 3 things I would have never expected to hear in like the next 5 years was that the Knicks beat the Golden State Warriors in overtime in Oakland. Just
huge playoff implications.
Oh, massively. The Knicks go from the bottom of the East to one game up from the bottom and the Warriors fall even lower. But look, let's just start with the NFL because that's the most exciting thing.
It's the only thing that's kind of got anything going for it. And that's not a lot.
No.
If you want an exciting podcast, check any of the previous 15.
Yeah, energy levels are low today, guys. It's just, look, like we said, it's just too far gone to care. And it's not close enough to playoffs yet where you're like, wow, what's going to happen here? It's just like, everyone's sort of floating. And I feel like the NFC being as competitive as it is, and then the AFC being as top heavy as it is, has just made it this. But look, I think the big thing that we have to talk about is wildcards, AFC.
Yeah.
Steelers, Bills, possibly Titans. Titans obviously come out last week, completely smack the Raiders. So their season's done. They've gone from potentially being the 6th seed themselves to now 2-3 weeks later, they've lost to Cincy, lost to the Jets, and now their season's done.
Yeah, like mathematically, they're still there, I guess. Mathematically, it's pretty much Browns, Colts, Raiders could still make it. But you're pretty much looking between Bills are probably going to make it and have made it already almost.
Yeah.
And it's going to be who picks up position for the 6th seed more than likely out of the Steelers and Titans.
Yeah, really. And look, genuinely, they're the only 2 legit teams. Like
they're the only teams that could actually put up a half decent performance. And to be honest, like looking at where it's going to end, it's probably going to be Steelers in 6 unless they get, you know what, Steelers could actually probably take the 5th. If they beat Bills this week, could take them to the even record, but they'll be winning on head-to-head. I think, like I was saying to you, the final game of the season's against the Ravens.
Yeah.
But if they beat Jets and then beat Browns, they've already clinched the top seed in the AFC, so they don't even need to play whatsoever.
Exactly.
Everyone will be rested as you expect, and Steelers should be able to beat that, you'd think.
Yeah.
And, it actually lines up to a nice end of the season for the Steelers. After a lot of turmoil and a lot of, crazy injuries and what ifs and what's going to happen now with the Steelers, it'd be a nice little way to top it off. And I think also after trading away our 1st round draft pick, it's probably actually a really positive thing to make the playoffs.
It's insane that you have.
Because, when we traded away, everyone was kind of like, oh, well, guess what? Steelers are trading away their 1st round draft pick. They're going to be rubbish and probably be in the top 10, like top draft picks this year.
Yep.
And Dolphins are laughing and got the best value
they
could for money type thing. But it's really turned on its head completely, and Steelers are right in the mix of it now. And
Exactly.
I think statistically have a 72.2% chance of making the playoffs.
Let's go Steelers. But look, genuinely, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick, is he Defensive Player of the Year? I feel like he has to be. I don't think he's
He definitely could be up there. Hey, I think
who
he's still.
else is there?
I think he's still tied for most interceptions. The amount of pick sixes and fumble return for touchdowns he's gotten is certainly up there. I'm not sure who's got more defensive touchdowns than him, but there couldn't be many.
Look, in my opinion, this is definitely going to be me manufacturing a hot take on the run, but I can't put any of the San Francisco defensive line in, Defensive Player of the Year conversation because it is a collective sum, and they also have like a very run-heavy offense that just stays out on the field, and then, the San Fran gets a lot of rest and then comes on, and obviously they are explosive. I think Nick Bosa is probably going to win Rookie of the Year. I feel like, there's not really anyone else that's made that big of a splash. So I feel, the San Fran will get their props somehow. I'd say maybe they win, I don't know, Defensive Coach of the Year if that's a thing, or whatever, D Coordinator of the Year. But look, I really feel like the way that the Steelers turned around after all the turmoil and all the shit, it only props up, it helps Minkah Fitzpatrick, obviously, his case for Defensive Player of the Year because he completely 360 or 180'd you guys as a franchise. And Mike Tomlin deserves massive praise, He has all the controversy with Antonio Brown, and obviously I think it was less controversy with LeVeon Bell because it was more like just you both knew what you wanted out of that, and it sorted itself out. But
he was going no matter what, and it was just who to pretty much at this point.
Yeah,
all the turmoil had already passed of whether he'd stay or go the year before. Exactly. In the franchise tag season.
But still, you look at it and you're like, James Conner's been injured for most of this year, or at least now heading into where you guys really need to start winning games and still somehow are fighting and scraping to win.
Yep.
James Conner's been out. You've missed Juju the past couple of weeks with concussion. And it's like Mike Tomlin deserves to be, and obviously there's more people talking about it now, so I'm stealing other people's takes a bit, but Mike Tomlin definitely deserves to be really up there in Coach of the Year. He won't win it because, John Harbaugh probably will.
Yeah.
Just because of how different the Ravens have looked and how they've come out of essentially nowhere, I think, to win the AFC North and potentially win the AFC overall. But Mike Tomlin deserves massive praise because he's handled everything so well. Even the fight, even the Myles Garrett situation. He just dictated how the Steelers team was going to handle it, just got up on the podium after and said, look, I'm not taking any questions on that. We've got next week to focus on or something. Sets the precedent. And then you look at, obviously I hate to compare it to Freddie Kitchens, but he's wearing a T-shirt, Brown, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Baker Mayfield's going off on tangents. It's just the more you look at it, the more you realize that the Steelers have gone through hell this year. Yeah. And somehow Mike Tomlin's just been there with his shades, pulling them out of it. So I think Steelers out of, like we said, out of all that bunch, I think Steelers or Titans will probably put up a fight. I think Steelers will put up a defensive fight, which worries me if they match up against. It'll be the Chiefs, won't it, if they finish sixth?
Yeah, it's more than if it's six, it'll more than likely be the Chiefs. I think at this point, we kind of run through top to bottom. It's more than likely going to be Ravens, Pats 1 and 2, Chiefs, Texans 3, 4, and then the wild card's going to be up in the air. But I think we look and Titans are on a 6-1 run since Tannehill's come back in. Which
That's ridiculous.
Is insane considering the way they started this season.
Can he get comeback player of the year for that? Can he? Is it a comeback?
No.
I know it was an injury, but dude got benched for 6 games?
Yeah, it's an insane way to go about it, and he's done so well. It's going to be interesting how much he's going to get paid next season.
Oh, yeah. I think the Titans re-sign him, but they'll probably have to overpay.
I don't know if they're going to have to overpay, but it's just going to come to that situation and see where we go. And it'll be interesting next year with a full season at Tannehill there. And, what happens with Mariota from this point and so on. But
True.
I think they've got 2 games against the Texans, which, if Tannehill's still throwing dimes to A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry's just on a mad run. He's definitely the best running back at the moment.
I feel like he has to be.
On form, the last few weeks, he's definitely the only one up there. And I think he's number 1 for running yards now. And, he's been absolutely insane. The amount of breakaways he gets a game, he's pretty much running for a 75, 90-yard touchdown every game at the moment. And I think pretty much over the last 16 games on average, not on average, in total, he's got like 20 yards and like a stupid amount of rushing yards, like just insane.
Yeah.
But so I think they could even go 2-0 against the Texans, but I think it's unlikely, especially with Texans. You know, who knows? They could probably actually take over Texans' top spot.
Wow.
I think mathematically they could if they decide to win those 2 games. And then they got the Saints in the other. So that could be like 3 losses or 2-1, especially depending. I guess there's so much home field advantage in the NFC to worry about. I was thinking because Saints, who's there? Saints, Baltimore and Chiefs have now already clinched titles in their division. It's just going to be home field advantage that they're fighting for now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And look, I think, you know, like you said, Derrick Henry, the most impressive thing about Derrick Henry to me is like he's an old school running back. Like they don't really use him in pass much.
No.
He's just legit 19 carries a game for 100 or so yards is what he's averaging on the season. But obviously recently he's been on an absolute tear. And, you know, just the fact that the Titans don't seem to have, they don't seem to have this, it doesn't seem to jump off paper to you. It's not like they've got Mahomes back there throwing bombs. Obviously Tannehill threw a massive one to AJ Brown last week, but it's not, they're just a really good team. They're just like a really solid contesting team. And, you know, you match them up against the Texans who are super top heavy. Like if the Titans can somehow figure out a way, you know, they've got decent safe secondary. If they can figure out a way to shut DeAndre Hopkins or at least even make, you know, Deshaun Watson go to DeAndre Hopkins, you know, like maybe they shut out Will Fuller because that's how a lot of teams have been. That's how the Texans obviously beat the Patriots is that like, you know, teams shut down Hopkins, but then they still have Will Fuller.
Kenny Stills and Will Fuller.
And Will Fuller to rely on. So maybe the Titans try and do, you know, if they've still got 2 games, maybe for one game they shake it up and see, because legit, I could really see Titans sneaking in. Like you said, if Steelers beat Bills this weekend and then the Titans go on a tear and win a few games, the Bills might even drop out of the playoffs. And I don't know how likely that is. Actually, what's their record? Is that way out of reach?
They're only one game ahead of Pittsburgh and Steelers. But so the final games, Buffalo has Steelers, Patriots, and Jets at home. So it's kind of like they could, you know, let's like just assume Steelers win. Not necessarily that it's the case. It's 2 defensive teams going up, and honestly, offensively, Josh Allen and, you know, the Bills are probably much better than the Steelers. Steelers are just in a bad place right now, unless Juju and James Conner are back this week.
Yeah.
Who knows? But even still, that defense is just phenomenal. It's been one of the best this season.
Exactly.
Then you go to Patriots the week after, which I don't think anyone sees them winning, but I'm pretty sure they're still on track that they could take top spot in that division, which is mental.
I would absolutely love that. I would love to see, but still, they don't have a big enough record to jump into the 2nd seed, do they?
No, definitely not.
So they can't get home. Oh, they could, yeah. Listen, I'd love to see the Pats fall to 5th or 6th, but that just motivates them even more. So.
Yeah, exactly. And off the back of 2 losses on the run, it's going to be bad. Like, but the thing is, it's like, you know, we talk about Patriots on downwards fall and who knows what's going to happen. It's like their final 3 games are Bengals, Buffalo, and Dolphins.
I feel like that is actually worse for them than it is better for them. Because, you know, you look at them.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Like, does this, you know, maybe they'll get back onto a roll. They'll win. You know, maybe the Bills game is a little bit contested, but obviously they'll probably win 3. But look, if your last 3 weeks of the season, you've just come off 2 losses to very good teams, and your offense couldn't do shit.
And a lot of disappointing performances before that, you know.
Exactly.
How close it was between Cowboys and Eagles. I think both those games were real weather dependent, so no one got to flourish in those games.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of people think that if the weather was fine those days, that the advantage would have gone against Patriots just with how disappointing they've kind of been. But yeah, I agree. You know, you've come off this run of losing and playing really bad, and then you have to verse 2 of the easiest teams in the league.
Yeah.
And Bills, which might be a bit of a challenge. You'll probably get your hopes up a little bit. But, you know, you can see it 2 ways. It's like they haven't had a decent, you know, competition for the final few weeks, or you look at it as they're probably already planning for the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're right. They probably are. But look, like the thing is, like what I was trying to get at was like, you know, their offense is going to look good against 2 or 3 of those teams. Potentially even the Bills, maybe if the defense can sort of force the if the Pats defense can force the Bills offense off the field quick enough in that game.
Yep.
But it's like, is that really an advantage when the Patriots, maybe they finish second? I don't think they will. I think the Chiefs will jump them. But, then they have to go face Steelers or something. Like, their offense is going to feel like they're back on track, but you're playing two of the worst teams in the league. And I'm obviously don't have the stats on me right now, but I'm pretty sure Bengals and Miami it was, isn't it? Are two of the worst teams defensively in the league. It's like, look, I just don't trust the Pats offense. We've got this written down here, but I don't trust them. And I think it's fair now to say that, Brady's on his way out and all these young guys that they've brought in and sort of shipped out everyone else, like, they needed Antonio Brown to hit and they needed him to do well because this is a team that doesn't have an it guy anymore. Like, Brady really is probably their best offensive, and I know that's probably an example, but I mean, Edelman's there, obviously. Edelman's probably their best offensive weapon, but it's like, they have to force the ball. They have to force feed Edelman to get it in a way, and, their rookie wide receivers are dropping a ton of passes. Obviously, I think they're going to turn into something in the future, but right now, you look at the Pats offense, and it's struggling big time.
Yeah.
And, look, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think dead set. I think you just said you disagree that the Chiefs might jump the Patriots, but I think just with the Patriots schedule, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, true, right.
But I think we're pretty much in a situation of this weekend. I think Bills and Steelers are going to make it. I just don't think Titans with the remaining 3 schedule. I think Texans are really going to have to step up and, challenge the Titans. Because I guess you actually look, Texans and Titans are on the same record, which I didn't actually know. Texans are only 8-5.
Yes.
Which is relatively disappointing, but that's going to come down to who can win out of those 2 games.
It really is because, like, if Texans drop both those games to Titans, it'll be the Titans that jump to the 4 seed off divisions. And, yeah, man, look, wow. I mean, obviously, the Chiefs are only 1 game behind the Pats, but like you said, like the Chiefs this weekend have the Broncos, then they have to go face the Bears, and then the Chargers.
Yep.
And it's like, we don't know what the Broncos are right now because they just beat the Texans.
Yeah.
With, a young quarterback at the helm who exploded. I think the Texans defense, obviously, I don't know if you've seen the costume thing. I think they're playing around too much for a defense that's not really that good. Like, I think, when they dressed up as SWAT team against the Patriots, I think that was like an it thing. And then they were like, oh, let's keep doing this. And then they come to the Broncos game as, dodgeball players and then got their asses kicked. But it's like, you shouldn't be talking. You haven't proven that you're a legit defense all year.
Yeah.
And Texans, I guess the only advantage is that the Texans look like they've got 4 games left. And, oh no, sorry, my thing's glitching.
Yeah.
But they've got a game against the Bucs. We don't know what the Bucs...
Is that even a, easy game to win?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't even know what the Bucs are because they just
Jameis
beat the
Winston's
Colts.
going to throw 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and we're not going to be sure what the Texans are going to do.
Here's another guy who deserves... Okay, it's a long shot, but he deserves to be on the piece of paper. He won't win anything. He shouldn't get any votes. Bruce Arians should get a head coach of the year nomination for how he has turned Jameis Winston from the most unconfident quarterback in the league to just being like, look, we're shit. I'm not going to tell you we're shit, Jameis. I'm not going to tell you you're a terrible quarterback, but just go out there and throw it.
Just throw it. I've got a slot receiver I love in Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is an absolute monster and underrated.
Perryman's good. Just got a decent enough rank.
Just pretty much go out, throw it the way Fitzpatrick wants to every week. And we'll see where we end up by the end of the game.
Yeah.
We'll be able to stop their run because they've got a really good run defense. Passing, they're not great, but they're like, who cares? We're going to put points on you anyway if Winston doesn't fumble it or throw an interception. But it's, credit to him, I guess.
The insane thing is Jameis Winston is at this point in the season, he has the potential to top the passing yards, passing touchdowns, and interceptions thrown.
Yeah. He's currently sitting at 26 touchdowns and 23 interceptions.
Wow. That's like, oh my God. Like a good touchdown to interception ratio is like 2, isn't it? It's like 2 touchdowns for every pick.
Yeah, that's like relatively good. You're on a good standard, sir.
This guy's on like
1-to-1 almost.
Wow. But it's just,
And sorry, that's with 5 fumbles lost as well.
Oh, yeah, shit. I forgot about the fumbles. So
if we want to include rushing touchdowns and fumbles lost, he's at 27 touchdowns and 28 turnovers.
Bruce Arians deserves a nomination, bro. He has got Jameis Winston just going out there and throwing it and not caring. And look, they beat the Colts. That's super impressive. You know, I've obviously been massive on the Colts. I think they've taken a massive slide. I don't know what it is. But look, you lose T.Y. Hilton, you lose, who's their running back again?
Marlon Mack was out for a few games. And even, you know, just the turmoil of having Andrew Luck retiring a few weeks out from the season. There's definitely a lot of credit that's got to go to Frank Reich. And even
100%.
being one of the few teams that beat the Chiefs while they had Patrick Mahomes, like he did get a bit banged up that game, but still, you know, they could have been in the exact same position now as the Steelers, and we'd be saying the same thing about them for making the playoffs and for getting Coach of the Year the same way we're looking at Mike Tomlin and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Like they were pretty much on the same playing field. The starting quarterback died right at the start of the season. They've had running back and wide receiver issues throughout the season and just a number of injuries. They've had to rely on their defense and, you know, managed to still actually put together a solid season.
Yeah.
Like considering how everyone thought they were going to be a terrible team and Jacoby Brissett was going to be nothing and nothing to write home to mum about. Like they're 6-7, but I feel like they've played better than that too. Like that's with a loss to Dolphins and things like that. So
and that's the thing. Their loss to the Dolphins, Jacoby Brissett's out. It's like they can't seem to catch a break. And just to clarify, Andrew Luck didn't die. He just retired, everyone. But that was funny comment. But
I was more looking at Big Ben.
Oh yeah, sorry,
dying
my bad.
and slicing his arm. Well, he didn't slice his arm at all. He just hurt it. But
yeah,
I'm being very over the top. But we're going to bring some excitement to this.
Yeah, exactly. You're not wrong. So
get some people jumping.
Big Ben is dead. But but no, you like the Colts. Even
Andrew Luck and Big Ben decided to rob a bank and died in a shootout.
They passed it away, people. R.I.P. to Big Ben and Andrew Luck. But like the Colts, even Darius Leonard's been injured for parts of this year, so their defense hasn't been at full strength. You know, they lose their running game, and I think the two biggest things that have sort of been rumors, and I don't know how legit they are in recent weeks, is that, you know, if the Colts didn't win, I think it was this game or maybe the game before, that you know, the Colts front office and, you know, owners were looking and considering sacking Frank Reich.
Are you kidding?
It was a rumor. I don't know how legit it was. I think it was like 1 or 2 reports. I don't think it was very substantial to it. And the other one was that, you know, they're obviously going to look at the free agent market and, you know, maybe look at replacing Jacoby Brissett. But I think we need to take a look here and say, like, Andrew Luck retired days before the season opener. Or I think it was like, if not, it would have been like a week max.
I think it was like 3rd week preseason. He retired.
Yeah. So they had like,
I think it was after the 3rd game.
Yeah. I think it was too. Yeah. So what they have like one more game and then the 5th game is just a throwaway game, really. But
well, no, there's no 5th game. So it would have been like 1.5 weeks they had or something, maybe 2 at the max, which is huge news to everyone. Even if they knew in the like coming weeks that he may be retiring, to finally get that news and completely have to change your game plan for that season.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Exactly. And that's it. Like just run Frank back right for another year with a full off season of everyone knowing that Jacoby Brissett's the guy.
Yep.
Just pray that he doesn't get injured. You know, just ice T.Y. Hilton for the rest of the year. I don't think, is the Colts probability of making playoffs on there or not even at all?
It is. Colts probability is 0.4%.
Look, put T.Y. Hilton on ice. Don't try and rush him back. I've got him in fantasy and every league it's like every week it goes out for Sunday, probable Monday through Wednesday, and then he's out on Thursday.
Yeah.
Just put him on ice, let him rest. T.Y. Hilton is the reason that the Colts, you know, obviously were as good as they were this year, I think. And he's one of the most underrated wide receivers. Just ice him, and next year's your year to go for it because the Texans are showing.
I definitely agree with that and say the same about Marlon Mack too.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like Marlon Mack's the same scenario. He broke his hand and I think he came back last week and, you know, he had like 2 weeks off with a broken hand and like credit to him. And I guess
exactly.
bones heal pretty quick. So he's technically fine. But even if you wanted to rest him and T.Y. Hilton, then just go for it next season. No one's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and I still think the Colts have a shit ton of cap, so they could.
Yeah, they do. They have one of the most cap spaces in the league, I'm pretty sure.
Look, don't be surprised if LeVeon comes back up. I wouldn't be surprised if now that they don't have to pay Andrew Luck, I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts make a tilt for LeVeon Bell.
LeVeon. I don't know if they do with Marlon Mack there, because Marlon Mack is young and has been phenomenal. He's one of the most reliable, just, like we said before about Derrick Henry, not old school Marlon Mack, but just that you give him 20 carries a game, he's going to give you 100 yards, maybe a touchdown. And he's a little bit there in the pass. Actually, he's not really even there in the passing game. Same situation, but he's just old, reliable.
Exactly.
He's a good running back.
That's true. But I guess, okay,
so here's a thought. Big thought. Yep. Just sprung into my mind, and we haven't really got to it yet, but there's a lot of concern about a certain Browns receiver.
Oh, yes. We'll switch up to...
We won't necessarily switch up. I just want to quickly put in that OBJ it's being reported by a lot of people and some very well-known people that he wants to leave the Browns.
That's concerning.
What if he went to the Colts? They have the cap space for it.
Holy shit.
Do
they have the trade assets though?
No, but we were looking before, and supposedly, we don't necessarily agree with this, but people think that only a first-round pick is going to be enough to get rid of OBJ. We don't agree with that, but Colts have a high first-round pick. Well, not high, but like mid-round first-round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. It's going to be higher if they miss playoffs and if they lose it. Yeah. Oh my God. That is insane. Wow. That would be... Look, okay, the only way I see the Browns valuing OBJ as less than a player and a first-round pick and extras package, sort of what they had to give up to the Browns, is if they keep Freddie Kitchens. And I think if they keep Freddie Kitchens, I think that might mean OBJ, looks to the door. But if they get rid of Freddie Kitchens, I don't see any reason why OBJ doesn't stick around another year with, his best friend in Jarvis Landry and stay there. But look, man, that would be ridiculous. You have T.Y. Hilton on one side, OBJ on the other side. They got one of the best O-lines in football.
Yep.
They got Marlon Mack back there now. It's just going to open up so much.
Team.
And Frank Reich too, who you look at how Philly struggled since Frank Reich's left. Like, we know how legit of an offensive mind Frank Reich is, and he's obviously made leaps and bounds this year, and I even think last year as a head coach even. It's like, wow, I would love to see that. And insane. No one's talking about it because...
I guess it's still rumors at this point until it comes out, and it won't be till the offseason they really start kicking off about it. But,
yeah,
we'll see how that one could turn out.
I just want to say, though, that if OBJ goes to the Colts, I know it probably doesn't make sense because I don't know if OBJ wants to go to big market teams or guaranteed winners like the Patriots or something. But if he goes there, I feel like that makes the Colts the Patriots of that division. Like right now, as it stands, if the Texans can't make many moves in the offseason, it potentially really, like it makes it. The Texans will still compete, but it'll be like the Bills are now, where it's like that the Patriots are probably going to lock up the division and the Bills, have a competitive season. But literally, all it is that the Texans have stayed healthier longer than the Colts. Is my reasoning for why
that's pretty fair.
It's the Texans over the Colts right now.
And even, we look towards Texans, they don't have their first round draft picks because they gave them all to Miami, and they're in a situation where it's kind of like what they've got now is all they've got. And we don't really know where that's going to lead to. And yeah, you're very right. If Colts actually make a few big moves, which, we would think they would, they could actually be a very, very, big team for most improved in a way, if you want to give that award out. But that could be one of the most insane moves. And I think a move we definitely both like because we're both kind of like solid fans of the Colts. Don't mind.
I love the Colts.
Yeah.
I like their unis. But yeah, no, it is a big move and it would be a big move. And I feel like that is ultimately going to Indianapolis might be one of the best things OBJ does. He doesn't go to a big market. There's no pressure there really for him to be the WR1 because they can just rely on T.Y. Hilton essentially. Like no one going into this season thought that Jarvis Landry would be more important to the Browns than, OBJ. And we should have seen it coming that Jarvis Landry is because he's had 2 seasons now with Baker.
More
Baker showed
with Baker
last
anyway.
year that he favors Jarvis and shit. So I feel like, going to a small market, he just goes out. I feel like in a way, the Colts, if they had kept winning, we would be talking about them as potential, dark horses for the Super Bowl run, with their defense. And look, that's my opinion anyway. And if they add OBJ to that, I really feel like they are genuine, strong, But like you said, we'll just have to wait to the offseason to see what happens, what goes on with the Patriots, what goes on with the Chiefs, the Texans, everyone else above them. But I feel like that would be a massive move, and it would be a massively smart move for OBJ just to go out to the middle of nowhere and just no big
focus
lights.
on football.
Exactly.
It definitely could be a way, but I think we kind of come back to where we're at. Where do we think, we're probably going to say this every week up until it actually happens, but, for the AFC at this point, I think Bills and Steelers are going to be set where they are. I mean, they're going to be the two wild cards place. And I think Texans keep it. I don't think Titans manage to get 2 games over Texans, which even still is viable. Even got to give credit to Texans. JJ Watt's been injured for half the season, and they're still, beating the Patriots and teams like that as such. I think, credit to them. Credit where credit's due. They're still putting together good games each week relatively.
Exactly.
But I think it's pretty much going to come down to Steelers Bills this week. Whoever wins this game, which I think is at Bills, if I'm correct.
I think it is, yeah.
It's at Heinz Field. Yep.
Wow.
So, Steelers have definitely got the home field advantage there. I think whoever wins this game wins the 5th place seeding because I think the both of them, Bills are probably going to lose against the Patriots, and that's going to be the catch-up game anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just assume they're on the same record, and then they both have to verse the Jets 1 week.
Yeah.
So, right up dubs for them, and the win we're giving the Steelers is against the Ravens, which I assume they can win against the Jets once again and the Browns.
Yeah.
And won't have to play that final week, and then it's just going to be this game. So I think winner of this gets number 5 and the loser gets 6.
I completely agree.
And I think the standings are going to be pretty much the same. So we're going to end up having Ravens and Pats 1 and 2, Chiefs, Texans 3, 4, then Steelers.
And then Bills.
6. Yeah, so I'm just going to say Steelers are going to win that for home field advantage for the sake of it. And we're going to go into the playoffs. Chiefs versus the Bills and Texans versus the Steelers.
Wow. I mean...
And even if it's the other way, it's going to be Steelers versus Chiefs and Texans versus Bills.
Yeah.
It's pretty much 2 high-powered offenses versus 2 high-powered defenses. Either way. And
obviously, you even look at it, though, the Chiefs and the Texans, like you were saying before, to give credit where credit's due, their defenses are sort of, coming out of nowhere. Or not coming out of nowhere, but they're improving for what we thought they were earlier in the year. And, the Texans have kept fighting without JJ Watt. Obviously, I don't think they're, anywhere near the Chiefs level of defense, but the Chiefs showed last week against the Pats that they're still a really formidable defense, same as they were last year.
And how good they were too when Patrick Mahomes was out. They were either winning or almost winning games with Matt Moore there pretty much because the defense is just so physical. It's always up in people's faces and it's taking advantage of good situations. And credit to them.
So I think you're right, yeah. And obviously Ravens, Patriots get the first round bye in the thingy. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm not going to lie. I think, let's look at the NFC now. I think obviously last week, 2 massive in-house matchups, Saints versus 49ers.
Yep.
That was a massive shootout. That was a ridiculous game to even ponder. I don't know. I have no idea why the NFL didn't flex that to prime time. Because
that was one of the stupidest decisions. When you pretty much have these 2 teams, and they still have a few big games coming up for the rest of the season, but 2 teams that pretty much this was the game that set number 1 seeding in place almost.
Yep.
To not flex it to prime time when you had the Eagles and the Giants who are 2, it's an in-division game, but it's 2 losing teams that are underperforming and underwhelming. Eli Manning's back for a week.
Seriously though, who comes into the season? Who comes into the season? Obviously we thought the Eagles were potentially going to be at least in the top 6 in the NFC.
Yeah, so for sure.
That's fair enough. But who schedules a game against them when you know that the Saints and the 49ers are potentially going to be good?
Well, no one would have predicted San Fran to be this good.
Yeah, but
I don't know what our predictions were at the start of the season, and that's going to be fun to look back on.
it will be.
But I think I probably had them at like 6 and 10.
I think I had them
7, 9 maybe.
Yeah, I think we had them around the same level of that. But like, even if you look at it, you go, would you rather have the Saints beating up on the 49ers? Like, this is before the season starts at that time, or would you rather have the Giants playing? Oh, I guess.
But it's the in division too that's got. It's pretty much you expect it to be a bash up game, but it's just the in division.
Yeah, the thing that matters. Yeah, yeah, right.
It makes sense. It makes sense to be there, but it's when you have like this week Buffalo and Steelers are being flexed to prime time.
Oh, are they? Did they? Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
they got flexed, but it's like Saints and San Fran definitely should have with the implications. They're the two best teams in the division, pretty much, maybe even in the league.
Yeah.
That definitely made no sense. But what a game it was. What was the final score? 46-48?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. 48, 45, 46, 45, something like that. It was George Kittle.
Final run.
I dislike, okay, don't shoot me, but I dislike George Kittle, but I can respect that he is insane and he is easily the best tight end in the league right now. And that final play just showed it. He had 3 dudes hanging off him. He continued to run and he had a guy pulling him down by his face mask. And this is George Kittle, who's what's he banged up with? A knee, foot injury? Is it ankle?
He has a broken bone in his foot. I think there's continuous knee injuries. I think
that shows
he's in bad shape and he's dominating people. Like you said, he had 3 guys hanging off him and he ran like an extra 10 yards while being pulled on the face mask.
There's why San Fran has come out of nowhere this year, along with obviously, their defense coming out of nowhere, I believe. But it's the fact that George Kittle is one of the most important pieces in that locker room. And that's what he stands for. Like, that's what he shows to that team is like, he's constantly positive. I don't think I've ever heard him attack his teammates in the media or say anything negative at all in the media.
No.
And that's what he does on the last play of the game to help win them the game is like carries 3 guys when he's very banged up and can potentially just be resting for playoffs. And like that just sets the factor of how good this San Fran team has been this year. It's just a bunch of guys who want to work hard for each other with elite coaching on top. And I think the biggest thing for that is like, San Fran just went to New Orleans and, had a shootout with New Orleans and didn't look rattled at all. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look rattled at quarterback at all with how loud, New Orleans was.
Yeah.
And that's the most impressive thing is even if the Saints can somehow fight back and get the 1 seed, is it really that much of an advantage now if they end up matching up in the NFC Championship?
If San Fran have already beaten you at home. But it was crazy. Like, this is a game that we thought was going to be one of the most offensive games. Like, Saints and San Fran, like, arguably have two top 10 defenses, maybe 2 top 5s, maybe even the top 2.
I'm going to say they're the top 2, man, easily.
Like, I really definitely think up there for the top 2. And to end up throwing 48 and 46 points up is insane. Like, what the hell happened to those defenses? But what a game to watch.
I was just going to double check something real quick.
While you look for that, like, back onto that George Kittle, top tight ends definitely between George Kittle and Travis Kelce. And I have a lot more love for George Kittle than you do. Like, I don't know, just the crap that was running around about, National Tight End Day and the way he just talks trash on the sideline just for the fun of it. Like, it's not like trash talk. It's just like fun, lovable.
You can tell he just enjoys
He just
football.
loves it. Yeah.
Like, you can just tell it's him. And I think, obviously I've started realizing, listening to other people talk about it, is how good of a blocker he is. And that just comes back to how much he loves the game. He's not afraid to, if Kyle Shanahan had assigned him, all game, every game just to block, I think he'd be happy to do that. And I think that shows, again, the character that has been set in that San Fran team and what makes them such a contender is like, they're just all going to be motivated to do their job and do whatever the coach asks them. And that's insane. But even like you look at it, Saints still got 3 sacks and an interception. And you look at the 49ers and they still got, they didn't get a sack at all. Wow. But they did force 2 fumbles. So the defense still showed up, but look, at the end of the day,
they still played their part, but
it was Peyton versus Shanahan and Brees versus Garoppolo. And right now I'm going to say they're probably the 2 best system quarterbacks in the league. I'm not trying to underpin them, but
that's fair.
I essentially think that's what they are. And
I think
they're outperforming a system quarterback, but they are still a system quarterback. And it was an insane matchup. I hope that that's the NFC Championship game, in all honesty. And I hope it's in New Orleans. But look, I still think this Saints team, this is their last year really to go out and get it. And I don't know how much that motivates them, but I feel like this might be the year where they don't need the home field to do well. They might be able to go to Levi's Stadium and get something done. But it's just... NFC is insane. It's such a good thing to watch.
Yep. And it's like you said about system quarterbacks. I agree with that. Like, Drew Brees has the West Coast style, which is such annoying.
It is annoying to watch, but oh my God, like now that I'm rooting for the Saints, I love it so much.
Agreed. When you are supporting the team against it, like I remember last year, not in the playoffs, just a mid-season game between the Rams and Saints. Like, and I'm a small Rams fan. Like I love Todd Gurley and, things like that. And I was obviously rooting for Rams, and just to watch the Saints and, I think there was even another game last year that I watched from them, and they just they'll throw these 7-yard passes to Michael Thomas, and Kamara will get a pass in the backfield and go for 15 yards or Kamara will run and get an extra 9 yards on a run, and then we'll get the ball out before the pass rush can get there. And it's stupid to watch, and it's so annoying when you have to look at them continuously do this to a team, and it's just impossible to defend.
It nulls you to sleep because exactly what you said, you're just going 7-yard pass, Brees, 3-step drop, done.
Yep.
3-step drop, done. Rush to Kamara, rush to Kamara. And then suddenly he drops back and, either Michael Thomas turns a 14-yard catch into a 25-yard gain, or he hits someone deep on a 40-yard pass, and you're just like, how did that happen? And then it's just because you've been lulled to sleep by just the constant rhythm. And it's legit. Michael Thomas is ridiculous, and I think I need to start giving him more respect. I think I've discredited him because of how much Brees targets him, but man, he's a beast.
Oh, yeah. Definitely up there for offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
I think MVP, we've discussed many times, going to go to either Lamar or Russell Wilson. We're on track for Lamar right now, especially if he's going to break which he will against the Jets, which would have just kicked off. He's probably already broken the record for most rushing yards in a quarterback in a season. But I think Lamar's got favor there, unless Russell Wilson just had, we might talk about the Rams game a little bit later on, the Rams Seahawks game, but it was the first game that he didn't throw a passing touchdown.
Yeah, wow. That surprised me a lot.
Yeah, no, big time. And it's looking more and more like Lamar year, and I think he has a storyline to go with it. So I think MVP is his, but I definitely think offensive player of the year needs to go to Michael Thomas or Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's definitely quieted down over the last few weeks, and Ron Rivera's now been sacked, and Panthers are just in absolute turmoil. That's going to be an interesting franchise turnaround. To come back next year and be is Cam Newton he's just gone for surgery over the last. Well, he needed surgery over the last few weeks. Again, I don't know if he's gone for it yet and how that's turned out, but he should be back for the start of the season. It's going to be interesting if he stays there or what the Panthers do, because they need a complete change.
They do. They really do.
But that'll be really interesting. But yeah, I think they have had two phenomenal seasons between Christian McCaffrey and Michael Thomas, but those positions just don't get MVP.
Yeah.
So I really hope they get credited with something else, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, that's it, isn't it? You think that the Saints and the 49ers are the two best teams in the NFC this year, don't you? Yeah. So I think that sort of wraps us up on them, but I guess
the only one that really challenges, but it's not the complete team, is Seahawks, in my opinion. But that's just if Russell Wilson has a phenomenal game, they look that good. I just don't think, who else, and we're going to probably run through this now potentially, but Packers, I think, are overrated. I don't like them.
I like them enough because it's Aaron Rodgers, and I've seen Aaron Rodgers single-handedly beat the Cowboys before, and I have massive respect for him. But yeah, we don't know what the Packers are, and they're the Cowboys with the right record, if you get what I mean. It's they're that. No one really knows what they are. They've won the games that they're meant to win. They've been contestable in some close games, and then they've lost a few.
But you have blowout games that they've had where they lost 38-7 or something.
Yeah.
To San Fran, and they lost to the Chargers just because Chargers put the right game plan to go against them. Like, I just think Packers have won all the easy games, and then they lost to Philadelphia. That's their other loss.
Ah, shit. True.
Like, it's kind of like
they
the
lose
games,
to a lot of run-heavy teams, it seems.
and that's how you beat them. If you
Run.
can run on the Packers, you win, because they're a team that's like, okay, so their defense especially is a team that's really good at taking advantage.
Yeah.
Like, if something goes wrong, they're really good at taking advantage. And if you run on a team all day, they can't really take advantage of you running. It's just like, can we stop you? And
Same as Dallas.
Packers don't have any like super gifted players that can do that. So I think Packers, they're going to go through with a third seed, but I don't think they're any contest, especially if they only stay at the third seed and don't have a home field advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Past the first with the wild card game.
Yeah, and like I said to you before, I really think, obviously not to keep picking on the Seahawks. Well, not that I am, but I think the Packers are almost hoping that the Seahawks lose a couple of games or drop a few games to drop back to the 6th seed, because if the Packers have to face the Vikings in the wild card round, that completely eliminates the advantage of even having, home field advantage at Lambeau. And obviously, like I said to you, Seahawks won't be that much difference because it still gets cold and stuff in Seattle, but it will be having that home field advantage. But again, it's just, do we think that the Seahawks can put as much sorry, not the Seahawks. Do we think that the Packers can put as much pressure on Russ as the Rams did the other night? I don't think they can. Do we think that the Seahawks can run over the Packers? I think they can. And then,
that's definitely taken a big hit. Like, Chris Carson's amazing, but with Rashad Penny getting injured, that takes a hit. But Chris Carson was, Rashad Penny's been out for half the season just with injuries here and there, and Chris Carson's been fine on his own. It's just definitely a big 1-2 hit if Rashad Penny's there too. It is.
But even then, like, you think about it, if they go in with Pete Carroll loves running with a running back. If they go in and say Carson's going to get a shit ton of touches, what's your backup plan? Oh, it's Russell Wilson. It's like
oopsie daisies.
It's like
and when you're going to be running all game, you're just going to have to throw a play action. You have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, or Josh Gordon going deep.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, if you just go with that play style, it's actually just hard to beat.
It is.
It really is.
Seahawks defense is, showing it's contendable, and the Vikings can beat I think the Vikings defense can hold up against the Packers. Really, it's like, I don't trust the Packers that much at all. They're the Cowboys with with a record that looks respectable. Yeah, and I feel like they'd be getting picked on a lot more if the Cowboys were closer in record to them. But I'm not going to go too deep into the Cowboys. We covered it last podcast. They're shit. They don't deserve to be in.
Cowboys are the worst team in the playoffs. And if Eagles make it on top of them, which
I'm hoping for.
We're not, like, dead set. We've said it a couple times, more so in person, but it's like, if you are a Cowboys fan or an Eagles fan, you want to miss the playoffs.
The Eagles fans, obviously, I only listen to one. I listen to Lefko, but he's pretty keen on them getting in just because he thinks they have But yeah, look, the Cowboys don't have it. They don't believe in their coach. Our defense is terrible. We've said this before. Just who gives a shit? Tank for the rest of the year. Let Amari and Dak stat pad.
Get a mid to, high even draft pick.
Yep.
And screw the season because you're not going to do it in the playoffs. Like we're talking about the Packers of the Cowboys with a formidable record, but if I were the Cowboys, there's no chance in hell I'd want to verse the Cowboys the Packers, and even like they're going to have to verse the Seahawks or the Vikings at this point. And I don't see them.
I think the Cowboys match up better against the Seahawks simply because we seen last night what happens when you sort of, when you get a lead. This is the thing. Dallas hasn't shown that they can get a lead early, but look, if we face the Seahawks and we get a lead early, and our defense starts getting after Russ and they can't run, we're in for a chance. But it's a chance. It's like a 25% chance of beating the Seahawks. If the Vikings come to Dallas, they're just going to run all over us. They ran all over us already when we played them this season. So yeah, we're not saying too much else about the Cowboys. Fuck them. They're playing the Rams this weekend. I think the Rams will beat them. And look,
okay, so you're on board that the Rams going to beat them because this is one of the biggest games.
Imagine if the Packers lose out somehow. I don't know if they will.
Okay, wait. I just want to point out too, the Packers' final 3 games are all in division games. So they have the Bears at home this week, then the Vikings, then the Lions.
Imagine if the Packers lose out, Vikings jump to 4th seed, and then the Rams somehow sneak back in as the 6th seed. And then we have 3 of the 4 of one division in the play. That would be ridiculous. But look, obviously it's not very mathematically possible, but yeah, it's
still possible, but just unlikely.
Saints, 49ers, two best teams in the NFC. Packers are shaky. Cowboys are terrible. Seahawks,
And then
I still have question marks on them, but it's Russell Wilson, full stop.
Exactly. So
And
pretty
then the
much
Vikings can run.
going to the playoffs here, it's like, I think, you know, once again, the top four are pretty much set in stone.
Yep.
And then there's the Seahawks and Vikings with the Rams challenging, which, you know, we want to look at their remaining games. Seahawks have the Panthers, Cardinals, and then San Fran, which two easy wins in my opinion, because you can pass on the Panthers, which if Pete Carroll decides to actually pass, they're going to obliterate the Panthers. Like, we could dead set in this. Actually, can you pass on the Panthers or can you run on the Panthers? You can run on the Panthers, actually.
You can do whatever you want on the Panthers.
Panthers are just rubbish
just McCaffrey
now. They started well and, they're kind of all over the place. So they should dominate them. Same thing against the Cardinals. They should dominate the Cardinals. And then San Fran, they've already beat them once away from home. This one's at home. That's actually a viable option too. Could Seahawks top the division?
Wow. That's actually what I want to happen, is because I want the Saints with the first seed so that they have the best chance in the
San Fran are only one game ahead.
Of the Saints.
No, of Seahawks.
Wow, yeah, Seahawks could potentially. Who the Seahawks? Wow, what week are they playing each other? They're playing each other on the way out.
Last week of the season.
Oh my God. Wow. This plays well for everybody else in the playoffs. Seahawks and
I just want to
49ers.
point out too, San Fran have Falcons at home, then Rams at home. The final two games of the season for San Fran are Rams and Seahawks.
Whoa, how far away are the Rams?
Rams are currently sitting on 8-5, so 3 games behind.
So you look, maybe the Rams can't jump, but wow. Holy shit.
But even still, if Rams decide to win out for the rest of the season, like you were kind of saying, I think we would have 3
in
the top.
Rams sneak in as a 6.
Rams have Cowboys, San Fran, and then Cardinals.
Wow.
That's an interesting division.
That is a very interesting division. Oh my God. Seahawks winning the division over San Fran. And then just the fact that they have to, if Seahawks win and it's still competitive, the 49ers can't throw that game. They can't play this. They have to go into it hardcore. And
because
that's the best fact is because whoever wins, if it gets to the point where whoever wins that game
is going to be 1 or 2 seed, more than likely. It's either going to be you're going to be 1 or 2 seed, or you're going to be number 3 because Green Bay slip in.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you're dead right. If they decide to win out the next couple games, and because Seahawks are going to have the better head-to-head record, even if Seahawks win out and San Fran only lose that game, Seahawk will go 1 or 2.
I just realized how much that helps the Cowboys. If San Fran has to go hardcore against the Seahawks, if the Seahawks or whoever has to go hardcore against the other opposition's team, gets bashed up, and then has to come to Dallas to play the Cowboys, don't give me hope like this.
Because they're going to be the 5th seed as well.
Oh, holy shit. Wow. That is season changing. Wow. Wow, that's massive, bro.
But I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, no, it's not going to happen, but
even still, you win that game, all faith, Jason Garrett stays there for another season.
No way Jason Garrett stays there for another season.
Jason Garrett stays for another season. You have to verse
if Jerry Jones...
the opposite. You have to verse the opposite after a bye week.
If Jerry Jones decides to rehire Jason Garrett because he wins the first round of playoffs, I'm going to be fuming. But wow, that's insane. Obviously, the worst part about that, though, is, if Rams and Seahawks, if everyone in that division stays competitive, which they can, is that one of the Vikings or the Packers misses out, and that stinks. I really like the Vikings.
Yeah, I want to see Vikings there. They've got a formidable defense, and like their offense, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, hopefully will be back this week. Stephon Diggs, Kirk Cousins is playing. As long as he doesn't have to play on Monday night, we'll be sweet.
Yeah, as long as he's not on prime time. But yeah, wow. So, wow. Really, like, we've gone through all the games that we sort of wanted to preview this weekend. I mean, Chiefs versus Broncos. We don't know what the Broncos are again with Drew Lock.
Like, we definitely both probably see Chiefs winning this game, but Drew Lock was amazing. What he threw for 4
Yep.
touchdowns and a pick.
That's another thing that's going to be interesting to follow, obviously, with the Panthers is the Broncos. Because if Drew Lock continues to perform well, like we're looking at that division completely differently because the Raiders are moving to Las Vegas. If they make a move on another big guy like they did this year, it's now like, and the Chargers potentially draft a new quarterback. Holy shit, everything changes in that division for the Chiefs. And I still think they'll obviously be one of the best team in that division. But
yeah, with Patrick Mahomes, you can't really.
that goes to what the NFC North should have been this year, really. If everything goes that way, I don't think it will. But I mean, wow. Just so many, like, we were wrong. This week is not boring. This week has so many question marks for the rest of the season.
The next 3 weeks are hardcore interesting. This week itself,
been boring since Saturday, but the possibilities.
Yeah,
Optimistic
absolutely.
Ethan is frothing at the mouth. But I would love to see the Eagles make playoffs over the Cowboys and just get their asses smacked.
Yeah.
It's just why not? I mean, come on.
You guys are getting the whack the way we should have, and we're going to pick 10 picks higher than you.
Yep, exactly.
Have fun.
So, yeah, wow.
But you know what? After having this conversation, like I turned to you and was like, all right, that top 4 is set in stone. I don't know what the hell is going to happen to this. We could end up seeing, San Fran stay top of it. We could see San Fran drop down to the 5th seed and Packers climb to even the first. If Packers win out, I think they would finish number 1.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Yeah.
Wow. I want the Saints first seed. They need the first seed. Saints deserve to be in the Super Bowl. But wow. Oh my God. Trust the NFL to make everything interesting when you think it's boring.
Yeah. What a change up. We came in saying this was the dullest week and we're super excited for the NFL now.
I hope everyone stuck around for the first 20 minutes because the energy right now is buzzing, but God damn, so many possibilities. I really want it to be playoffs are out, but I don't want to fast forward 3 weeks.
No, exactly. It's like wanted to be playoffs to know what the hell happens, but skipping these next 3 weeks is going to be insane.
Does the NFL take a break during Christmas time or they don't, will they? Because they'll be Monday for us, but that'll be like Sunday of the week before Christmas. And then they'll play like 2 days after Boxing Day. So there shouldn't be there's never a break, is there?
No, I don't think so. They highlight those things like Thanksgiving. It was like, let's put a ton of games on Thanksgiving instead of having a break on Thursday night football.
True.
But yeah, it's all over the place. Like, I think at this point in time, I probably still see it staying the same top 6, but there's just so many ways it can change and so many. I don't even know. At the end of the day, the only thing we know for sure is Cowboys are the worst team in the playoffs.
That is absolutely.
Unless the Eagles make it, then they are.
Yeah. Whoever comes out of the NFC East is a dumpster fire. So
yeah, and at this point in time, you kind of got the same situation in a who cares factor, but
yeah,
pretty much whoever wins out of Eagles and Cowboys in that game probably goes through as well.
Yeah.
Because, you're looking at the next few games, if you give me a moment. Philadelphia have Redskins, then Cowboys at home and Giants.
I would love to see the Redskins beat the Eagles, but I don't want the Cowboys in the playoffs. So,
and then
I'm conflicted.
And then Cowboys have the Rams this week at home, Eagles, and then Redskins.
Yep. Look, the best case scenario as a Dallas Cowboys fan, if you want this franchise to be successful for years to come, is that we lose out.
Yep.
But Dak and Amari and Zeke all start performing again. That's the best case scenario, is that no one views those three, which is the trio that is most important to us, contending for a Super Bowl. No one views them as expendable or losable. So we need those three to look good in the last few weeks, but we need our defense to look terrible so some of them stupid contracts get shipped off and Jason Garrett gets fired. That's our best case scenario. And
you get higher draft picks.
And the even better case,
Garrett's gone.
The better case scenario is that, Redskins look competitive against the Eagles. The Eagles have no faith and then they just get blown out by the Seahawks. And at what cost? They'll probably, cause some turmoil over there. But look, we're just shit. I've done enough about the Cowboys. Win, loss, draw, we're shit. I'm shutting up. That's all I've got to say.
And I think that kind of summarizes this week too.
It does. Kevin Love requested a trade in the NBA. It's nowhere near trade deadline. Nothing matters yet. Something will get figured out. But
he'll end up going somewhere, but it's just going to be a question mark of where he ends up.
And the Cavs want to get rid of everyone for some reason. So apparently any deal for Kevin Love might have to involve Tristan Thompson, which might turn off a few teams. But look, I guess Wallabies news, what we spoke about when we spoke about Dave Rennie hire. We have brought in Wise Mantle from England. It's been official, got announced last night. We've brought in Chris Webb, so we have a GM now for the Wallabies team. I don't know if we had one before. And we've obviously made, we had a high performance guy called Dean Benton. I don't know. These are just names that everyone was talking about on Twitter. So obviously Wiz Mantle's good. I know that. But these other two are just guys, Nick Stiles, Reds coach, won the championship with them, or Matt Taylor, who's the current Scottish defensive coach. They're rumoured to, fill out the back room for Dave Rennie. But look, that's it really. Sean MacMahon's coming back to play for the Aussie Sevens. That's pretty big. Might hint that he wants to come back, but there hasn't really been too much. Otherwise, no real NRL shit. Fox Sports is still somehow making a Latrell article a day. I don't know how they do it, but give them props. And that's
Credit where credit's due.
Oh, NFL salary cap is going up though. I did mention that to you. Probably potentially 12 million, which frees up a lot of teams. But look, that's it, really.
Like you look at it in that regards, it pretty much gives everyone an extra. Not that there's necessarily a ton running around, but an extra place for a solid receiver or like a really good defensive player,
and gives teams like the Rams and stuff who might get into salary cap trouble some breathability.
Yep.
But
same as Vikings.
Exactly. That's it really.
Yep. Nothing too special outside of that.
Camera went off. We're not videoing the outro, but thank you everyone for listening to week 16 of the episode 16. It's not week 16, but episode 16 of the No One Asked podcast. What's the Instagram?
The Instagram is a No One Asked _podcast. Go check it out.
And let's go. Our blessings, people. Bye.
Have a good one.